Welcome to the magical land of Meghalaya. We're live from New Delhi, watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm MPox coming up in the next 30 minutes. US claims mediators had constructive day of discussions as Gaza ceasefire talks extend for another day. British and French foreign ministers to travel to Israel and Palestine to urge de-escalation. Worst fears come true as Sweden reports first case of MPox strain outside Africa amid global health emergency. Vaccine group Gavi mobilizes $500 million for the shots. US, Brazil and Colombia call for fresh elections in Venezuela after international condemnation of last month's disrupted presidential polls. Opposition says elections already happened, asks Election Commission to publish tallies. 5 people, including 2 doctors, charged in death of Friends actor Matthew Perry, accused found guilty of supplying Perry with ketamine that caused his death in 2023. And the Indian Space Research Organization to launch small satellite launch vehicle developmental flight. The vehicle will carry 175 kg Earth observation satellite EOS-08 on board. And on to the details now. Ceasefire and hostage talks are ongoing in Doha as key mediators try and get Israel and Hamas to finally come to an agreement after many failed rounds of talks. There's hope that they can secure a deal. It could limit or deter a promised Iranian attack on Israel after the assassination of the head of Hamas political bureau. Sarah Kotz has the latest on this.
According to the White House, Thursday's hostage and ceasefire talks got off to a promising start. They are expected to pick up once again today. Now, while there's no direct presence of Hamas at the table, Qatar has reportedly assured the US that it is being represented, with the Qataris saying that they're really trying to do everything that they can to see a ceasefire come into play. Now, we can tell you that, of course, the CIA director, Bill Burns, as well as Qatar's Prime Minister, Egypt's spy chief, the Israeli delegation led by the Shin Bet, also the Mossad, really trying to get this across the line. Although Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, he is once again accused of blocking a deal, trying to put extra conditions in that may actually prevent it from happening, although his office says that these are mere necessary clarifications. Now, also in the region, we can tell you that one of Joe Biden's top envoys, that's Amos Hochstein, he was here in Tel Aviv. He's also been in Beirut trying to calm tensions amid this threat of an Iranian attack on Israel, which Tehran is promising for the assassination of the head of Hamas's Politburo, Ismail Haniyeh, which is being blamed on Israel, despite Israel not coming out to claim it. So certainly a very dangerous time in the region. And as for the last few days, what's been happening on the ground is this continued tit-for-tat rocket fire between Israel and Hezbollah in the north, and more demonstrations right around Israel, including here in Tel Aviv, as people demand the immediate release of hostages. In Tel Aviv, I'm Sarah Coates reporting for DD India.
All right, and British Foreign Secretary David Lammy and French Foreign Minister Stéphane Séjourné will travel to Israel to push for Gaza ceasefire and a de-escalation in any wider conflict in the Middle East. The leaders will meet Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz and the Minister of Strategic Affairs Ron Dermer. The visit comes as a new round of Gaza hostage ceasefire talks was underway in Doha. The visit by the two leaders marks the first UK-France joint visit to Israel in more than 10 years. Britain and France are calling for a diplomatic solution to achieve a ceasefire in Gaza and restore peace along the Israeli-Lebanese border. An Israeli military spokesperson, Daniel Hagari, said on Thursday that the military had eliminated more than 17,000 Palestinian terrorists in Gaza since the start of the conflict. The IDF spokesperson in a press conference said that the IDF's significant fighting and achievements harm Hamas's ability to regroup and recover.
Israeli Defense Forces troops continue to fight in Gaza, operating in Rafah, Khan Yunis, the central Gaza Strip, and are striking everywhere. So far, we have eliminated over 17,000 terrorists. As part of the significant field achievements, in the last week we dismantled approximately 50 underground tunnels in the area of Philadelphia corridor. We are focused on locating, neutralizing, and destroying underground infrastructure in the area.
And the White House has announced it will send new security assistance to Ukraine. It comes at a time when Kyiv is continuing its push into Russian territory. Nick Harper reports for more from Washington.
The Biden administration is keen to push ahead with new security assistance for Ukraine. The White House's spokesman John Kirby was speaking in an interview with MSNBC in the US when he said that the United States will provide additional security packages for Ukraine in the coming days. No word yet as to exactly what would be included in those packages or the exact timeline on delivery. But it of course comes as Ukraine continues its push into Russian territory. Kirby, speaking about that to reporters, said that the US had seen Russian units shifting and being redirected to the Kursk region. He said that they had been moved from operations in and around Ukraine and had been sent to the Kursk area. He also spoke about the American-Russian citizen who was sentenced on Thursday by a Russian court to 12 years in prison for donating money to a charity that supports Ukraine. Ksenia Karolina reportedly gave $51 to the organization. She became a US citizen in 2021 and had been living in LA, but during a visit to Russia to see family last year, she was arrested on charges of high treason and accused of raising money for a group that provides weaponry to Ukraine's military. Kirby was asked about it, and he spoke about what he called vindictive cruelty of the Russian government for the length of her sentence. Nick Harper in Washington, reporting for DD India.
Well, Kyiv says it has full control of the strategic Russian town of Sadza in Russia's Kursk region. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky also said on Thursday that a military commander's office is being set up in the town, which had a prior population of around 5,000 people. That's as Ukrainian incursion started over 10 days ago. Russia says its forces had regained control of the settlement of Krupets in the Kursk region. Disha Chernyshova has the latest from Moscow.
Russia established a coordinating council for military security in border regions, Russian Defense Minister Andrei Belousov said on Thursday. The goal is to increase the effectiveness of comprehensive support of groups of troops that cover the state border, protect the territory and population of these regions. Belousov also said that the General Staff developed an action plan for protection of the Belgorod region. Early on Thursday, Russia's Emergencies Ministry declared the situation there a federal emergency. And the region's governor, Vyacheslav Gladkov, said that the situation in the border areas of the Belgorod region is extremely tense. He added that the Ukrainian military were still constantly carrying out the shelling. In the meantime, more evacuations have been ongoing, with the authorities in the Kursk region announcing a mandatory evacuation of the entire Klushkovsky district. Russian armed forces say they have restored control over the settlement of Krupets in the Kursk region. The MOD said Ukraine lost some 2,600 military since the start of the incursion. The ministry released videos of the Ukrainian servicemen captured in the Kursk region and the destruction of the Ukrainian military hardware there. Russia also stepped up security in the Kursk region's city of Kurchatov, home to a large nuclear power plant. Dasha Chernyshova reporting in Moscow for DD India.
Well, the U.S. State Department has approved the possible sale of up to 600 Patriot air defense missiles to NATO ally Germany for an estimated cost of $5 billion. Pentagon's Defense Security Cooperation Agency in a statement said the proposed sale of the PAC-3 MSE missiles will support the foreign policy and national security of the United States by improving the security of a NATO ally that is an important force for political and economic stability in Europe. Germany had 36 Patriot air defense units which launched missiles when it was NATO's frontline state during the Cold War. At present, German forces are down to 9 Patriot units after donating 3 to Ukraine since the Russian attack in 2022. Under new NATO defense plans, Germany will need to quadruple its air defenses to protect infrastructure and military forces in the event of severe tensions or a war. And even after results are out, problems of Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro does not seem nearing end. Countries, one after another, are coming out in open asking for fresh elections in the Latin American country. But interestingly, both Maduro and the opposition are not ready for another poll. Well, the latest in the series to raise question on Maduro is Brazil's President Lula da Silva. He has suggested new elections in presence of international observers as solution to the stalemate. He also suggested coalition government as one of the solutions.
If we have a result and this result is feasible, we will try to find out the following. Maduro still has 6 months in office. His term only ends in January next year. So he is the president of the republic, regardless of the election. So if he has common sense, he could try to call to the people of Venezuela and perhaps even call new elections, establish criteria for the participation of all candidates.
Well, within hours, the proposal was supported by U.S. President Joe Biden. Mexico and Colombian presidents have already asked for the same. However, both Maduro and the opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, ruled out the suggestion. She said election already happened, but she was ready for any mediation and the Election Commission should publish the tally. Maduro, on the other hand, rejected call for new elections and showed no inclination to allow review of the election results. And news from around the world now. London Zoo announced on Wednesday that it will remove the recent animal-themed artwork by British street artist Banksy on Friday evening. The piece will be removed from the main entrance for safekeeping while plans are made for the mural's future. Banksy revealed his 9th animal-themed artwork in London on Tuesday of a gorilla lifting a sheet to release a seal and birds on the shutters of the capital zoo. Nestled in the redlands of Miami, Florida, the Zoological Wildlife Foundation has become home to a remarkable resident, Limbani, a chimpanzee. With an unexpected and captivating talent for painting, Limbani's journey into the world of painting began as part of his enrichment activities, which are designed to stimulate his mind and provide a creative outlet. His artworks have gained significant attention. A giant rabbit greets guests at the New York Botanical Garden, like in the book Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. This larger-than-life installation has quickly become a highlight, drawing guests of all ages into the magical world of Wonderland. Visitors can explore a garden maze designed to resemble the Queen of Hearts' croquet ground, sip tea at a Mad Hatter's tea party setup, and even encounter other beloved characters like the Cheshire Cat and the Caterpillar. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. A 6.3 magnitude earthquake struck off the coast of Taiwan's eastern city of Hualien, second large quake to jolt the island in less than a day. The powerful storm Typhoon Ample approaches Japan, expected to strengthen similar to strength to a Category 4 hurricane. And we'll show you spectacular India's Independence Day celebrations in Times Square.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lapakshi Kuran, and moving on, the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has declared the MPox outbreak a public health emergency of continental security following an increase in cases of the disease in the Democratic Republic of Congo and other African countries. The declaration enables the health body to lead and coordinate the response to the outbreak. DD India correspondent Chris Kakamringa has more from Kinshasa.
The African Union's health body sounded the alarm over the MPox outbreak after the disease spread to several African countries. The viral disease was first reported in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Health officials in the DRC say more than 15,000 people have contracted the disease and over 500 others have died this year. The country's healthcare system has been ravaged by decades of conflict. A new strain of the viral infection that is more contagious and deadly than the one reported globally in 2022 was detected near the DRC border with Burundi and Rwanda earlier this year. More than 100 cases of the strain known as Clade 1b have now been reported in Burundi, Kenya, Rwanda, and Uganda. The World Health Organization has declared the MPox outbreak a public health emergency of international concern to support the African countries to end the outbreak. The declaration will enable the global health body to mobilize resources and coordinate the response. MPox is an infectious disease caused by the monkeypox virus. It's transmitted to humans through contact with animals or infected people. International health bodies are working with African countries to provide vaccines and prevent the disease from spreading globally. Chris Ochamringa in Kinshasa, reporting for DD India.
Well, also, Sweden has confirmed its first case of the viral infection MPox on Thursday, which was also the first case outside Africa. This comes a day after the WHO declared the disease a global public health emergency for the second time in 2 years. Health and Social Affairs Minister Jacob Forssmed told the press conference that we have one case in Sweden of the more grave type of MPox, the one called Clade 1. Wisgel also said the person was infected while staying in a part of Africa and had received care and instructions in line with the health agency's recommendations. And now let's briefly understand what is MPox and what is its cause and symptoms. Well, MPox disease is caused by the monkeypox virus. It belongs to the same group of viruses as smallpox, but is said to be much less harmful. There are two main types of MPox, Clade 1 and Clade 2. A previous MPox public health emergency was declared in 2022. It is the most common in remote villages in the tropical rainforest of Africa. While 96% of MPox cases are in DR Congo, the disease is spread to many neighboring countries such as Burundi, Kenya, Rwanda, and Uganda. Symptoms of MPox include fever, headache, swelling, back pain, and aching muscles. The infection usually clears up on its own and lasts between 14 and 21 days. MPox spreads from person to person through close contact with someone who is infected, including through skin-to-skin contact and talking or breathing. The virus can enter the body through broken skin, the respiratory tract, or through the eyes, nose, or mouth. It can also be spread through touching objects which have been contaminated by the virus, such as bedding, clothing, and towels, and with close contact with infected animals such as monkeys and rats. And moving on, in a major development in French star Matthew Perry's death case nearly a year ago, 2 doctors and 3 others, including a personal assistant to the actor, have been charged with supplying with ketamine, the powerful sedative that caused his overdose death. Each defendant played a role in falsely prescribing, selling or injecting the ketamine that led to the actor's death. According to the authorities, one of the accused, Jasmine Sangha, also known as Ketamine Queen, sold the doses that killed Perry from her stash house in North Hollywood, while the other accused, Salvador Plasencia, distributed it to Perry and his personal assistant, Kenneth Imamasa. Authorities also said that Palencia obtained ketamine from Dr. Mark Chavez, whereas the fifth person charged was Eric Fleming, who admitted to obtaining ketamine from Ketamine Queen and distributing 50 vials to Perry's personal assistant. Meanwhile, U.S. Attorney Martin Estrada said that the accused took advantage of Perry's addiction issues to enrich themselves.
Following Mr. Perry's death in October of last year, law enforcement, my office, and our partners represented on this stage began an in-depth, wide-ranging investigation. That investigation has revealed a broad, underground criminal network responsible for distributing large quantities of ketamine to Mr. Perry and others. This network included a live-in assistant, various go-betweens, 2 medical doctors, and a major source of drug supply known as, quote, the Ketamine Queen. We charged 5 defendants in this matter. These defendants took advantage of Mr. Perry's addiction issues to enrich themselves. They knew what they were doing was wrong. They knew what they were doing was risking great danger to Mr. Perry, but they did it anyways.
Well, moving on, a 6.3 magnitude earthquake struck off the coast of Taiwan's eastern city of Hualien on Friday. Despite the intensity, there were no immediate reports of damage. This is the second largest quake to jolt the island in less than a day. Weather officials have warned of the risk of landslides in mountainous areas following days of rain. Taiwan lies near the junction of 2 tectonic plates and is prone to earthquakes. In April, Hualien was hit by the biggest earthquake to affect Taiwan in at least 25 years. 9 people were killed and more than 900 injured. And Typhoon Ample now approaches Japan. The powerful storm is expected to bring heavy rain, strong winds and the threat of floods and landslides to eastern Japan, including Tokyo, on Friday. The powerful storm had maximum sustained winds of 104 miles per hour, equivalent to those of a Category 2 hurricane on Thursday evening, according to the U.S. Navy's Joint Typhoon Warning Center. By Friday, Ample's winds are expected to strengthen, similar in strength to a Category 4 hurricane. Typhoon Ample barreled towards Tokyo on Thursday. That brought heavy rain, forcing the cancellation of hundreds of flights and trains in and around Tokyo. Ample was expected to dump up to 7.8 inches of rain on Tokyo, the capital, and the surrounding area over a 24-hour period, bringing risks of landslides and flooding. And a day after India celebrated its 78th Independence Day, country's space agency ISRO will launch Earth Observation Satellite 8 using its recently built small satellite launch vehicle SSLV D3. EOS-08, constructed on the Microsat IMS-1 bus, has a mission duration of 1 year. Weighing approximately 175.5 kgs and producing about 420 watts of power, the satellite will be launched using the SSLV D3 IBL 358 launch vehicle. The satellite carries 3 key payloads. According to the space agency, the main goals of the EOS-08 satellite mission are to design and develop a microsatellite, create payload sensors that are compatible with the microsatellite bus, and incorporate new technologies that will be needed for operational satellites in the future. Since SSLV is an affordable launch vehicle, it would increase the number of ISRO's commercial launches and aid India in gaining a larger market share in the space launch services industry worldwide, which was valued at $14.9 billion in 2023 and is projected to expand at a 14.6% compound annual growth rate from 2024 to 2030. And Times Square of New York City celebrated India's 78th Independence Day. The event was a colourful and spirited affair. Times Square, known for its bright lights and global significance, was adorned with the colours of the Indian flag, saffron, white and green, as large digital billboards displayed messages of well wishes to India on this significant day. The event showcased India's rich cultural heritage with performances featuring traditional Indian music, dance and attire, creating an atmosphere of festivity and joy. And moving on to some sports news now, the Premier League kicks off this weekend, bringing new news and fresh faces as teams gear up for an action-packed season ahead. The 2024-25 English Premier League begins this week, where the league's defending champions, Manchester City and other top-flight teams begin their 38-week battle for the title. To get things underway, Manchester United host Fulham on Friday and Ipswich host Liverpool on Saturday. The most eye-catching game takes place on Sunday as Manchester City goes head-to-head with Chelsea. And Birmingham Phoenix secure eliminator spot after beating Manchester Originals in a rain-affected game. Phoenix thrashed Originals in a game that was reduced to 30 balls per side after rain played a spoil spot at Edgbaston. Originals managed to put only 41 runs on the board, which was effortlessly chased by Phoenix with 9 wickets in hand and 8 balls to spare. Captain Moeen Ali finished the game with a 6-2 set-up and eliminator encounter with Southern Brave in Saturday's eliminator. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.